I was supposed to marry the love of my life, until I found out he'd been sneaking around with my maid of honor, my best friend. But instead of calling off the wedding, I made a different plan. I walked down the aisle, looked him in the eye, and right before I said I do, I did something they could never expect. In front of 200 people. The late afternoon sun, that specific golden hue unique to Southern California vineyards, slanted through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the tasting room. It caught the facets of the ridiculously large diamond on my left hand, sending fractured rainbows dancing across the polished concrete floor. 2 weeks. Just 14 days until this very vineyard, Villa San Pietro, with its rolling hills blanketed in grapevines and air thick with the scent of jasmine and ripening fruit, would host the wedding of Sasha Monroe and Jordan Hall. My wedding. Everything was perfect. Almost aggressively so. The guest list read like a curated blend of Southern California's elite, real estate moguls Jordan schmoozed, influential bloggers I managed through my PR firm, distant relatives dripping in old money, and the inevitable collection of college friends and colleagues who rounded out the obligatory, our people contingent. The caterer was booked, the string quartet confirmed, the artisanal lavender-infused honey favors were labeled, and my custom Vera Wong gown hung shrouded in my closet like a silken promise. My name is Sasha Monroe, and I'm 28, the good girl. Always thoughtful, fiercely loyal, the one people came to for level-headed advice. My career in PR and crisis management was built on anticipating problems, smoothing ruffled feathers, and controlling narratives. Ironic, considering the narrative of my own life was about to implode. And Jordan Hall, 32, was the charismatic golden boy. Handsome, successful in the cutthroat world of real estate investment, a smooth talker who could charm birds from trees and investors out of millions. He was everything a good girl like me was supposed to want. And then there was Marissa Lynn, my best friend since freshman year orientation, my maid of honor. Gorgeous, ambitious, always trailing just a little bit behind me in achievements, a fact that occasionally manifested as a subtle, almost imperceptible competitiveness I'd always chosen to ignore. She had a sharp wit that sometimes tipped into a mean streak, but she was Marissa, my ride or die. The one who held my hair back after too much wine, the one who coached me through salary negotiations, the one standing beside me as I pledged my life to Jordan. Or so I thought. It started innocuously enough. Jordan had left his iPad, the one synced to his phone, a convenience he usually lauded, on the kitchen island. I was finalizing the seating chart, a task proving more complex than negotiating a hostage situation, and needed to quickly confirm his second cousin's dietary restrictions. I tapped the screen awake, intending to search his contacts. But the message app was open. A notification bubble clung to a name I didn't immediately recognize, just a string of numbers. Curiosity, that insidious little tickle, prompted me to tap. It wasn't a dietary query. The message thread unfurled like a venomous snake. Texts. Explicit, graphic texts that made my stomach clench. Voice notes filled with breathy whispers and low chuckles that were unmistakably Jordan's, intertwined with a female voice I knew as well as my own. Marissa. My maid of honor. My best friend. Last night was insane. I can't stop thinking about. He has no idea. Thinks I'm stressed about the wedding planning. Winky face. Meet me at the usual spot? He's golfing with clients. Voice note. Jordan's voice, low and husky. You drive me crazy, you know that? Way crazier than Sasha ever could. Voice note. Marissa's giggle, sickeningly familiar. Good. Keep it that way. My breath hitched, but no tears came. It was strange. A profound, chilling calm washed over me, displacing the expected tsunami of grief and rage. It was like the crisis management part of my brain slammed into override. This wasn't a personal catastrophe. It was a situation requiring analysis, strategy, and damage control. Or perhaps not control, but redirection. I scrolled back. Weeks. Months. The betrayal wasn't a recent lapse. It was a parallel narrative running alongside my engagement. Hidden beneath the smiles, the shared bridesmaid dress shopping, the the champagne toasts to our future. They used burner phone apps, coded language, deleted messages, but Jordan, in his infinite arrogance, hadn't thought to unsync his iPad or clear the recently deleted folder within the app itself. A rookie mistake. My mind raced. Canceling the wedding now would be messy, humiliating. Whispers, pitying looks, endless questions. Jordan would spin some story, paint me as hysterical, unstable. Marissa would play the innocent, heartbroken friend. No, cancellation wasn't the answer. Annihilation, perhaps. But a controlled, elegant annihilation. My fingers moved with detached precision. I connected the iPad to my laptop, my movements fluid, practiced. I wasn't just downloading messages and voice notes. I dug deeper. Cloud backups. Location data from photos exchanged between them. Financial trails for hotel rooms booked under discrete names. It was all there, a digital tapestry of their deceit. I saved everything, meticulously organizing files, backing them up onto a sleek, unassuming flash drive. The kind you might carry PowerPoint presentations on. Then I picked up my phone. Not to call Jordan, not to scream at Marissa. I called Claire, my older cousin. Claire, with her perpetually raised eyebrow, her biting sarcasm, and her unwavering loyalty that cut through bullshit like a laser. "Hey," I said, my voice remarkably steady. "Change of plans for the wedding. Don't tell me you want peonies instead of roses now," she drawled. "Because I swear, Sasha, the florist is already on edge." "No, the flowers are fine," I replied, a strange, cold smile touching my lips. "I just found out Jordan's been sleeping with Marissa for months." Silence on the other end. Then a low whistle. "Okay."
Wow.
That's biblical levels of messed up. "Are you alright? Do you want me to come over? I can bring wine. Or a shovel." "I'm surprisingly okay." I admitted, the truth of it settling into my bones. The shock had cauterized the wound, leaving behind a focused clarity. "And no shovel necessary."
Yet.
"But Claire, I'm not canceling the wedding." Another pause. "Come again." "You heard me. The venue is paid for. The guests are flying in. The dress is waiting. We're having a wedding." I took a deep breath. "I'm just rewriting the ending." Claire was silent for a moment longer. Then, I heard the distinct smirk in her voice. "All right, Monroe. Tell me the plan. And make it worthy of your PR skills." And so we began. Operation Trojan Wedding Horse. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in compartmentalization. On the surface, I was the blushing bride-to-be, radiating serene happiness. I navigated bridal showers, rehearsal dinner planning, and endless congratulatory calls with a placid smile. I even met Marissa for our final dress fitting, enduring her saccharine pronouncements about how perfect everything was going to be, how happy she was for me. "Sash, you look breathtaking," she'd gushed, adjusting the train of my gown, her eyes bright with feigned adoration. "Jordan's going to lose his mind when he sees you." "I hope so," I'd replied, meeting her gaze in the mirror, my smile perfectly calibrated. "I'm so grateful to have you by my side through all this, Riss." Truly. The lie felt smooth, practiced. It was chilling how easy it had become. Inside, a cold knot of fury tightened, but my face remained serene. Every interaction was fuel, every false endearment a sharpening stone for my resolve. Behind this facade, Claire and I moved with covert precision. My PR brain kicked into high gear, anticipating every angle, controlling every variable. First, the videographer. The one Jordan's family had recommended, politely canceled due to a sudden, fabricated scheduling conflict. In his place, I hired Marcus, a documentary editor I'd worked with on a sensitive corporate exposé. He specialized in capturing truth, often uncomfortable truth, and editing it into a compelling narrative. He understood discretion and impact. I briefed him thoroughly, emphasizing specific angles and moments I needed captured, particularly reaction shots. He was intrigued, naming his price without blinking. "Worth every penny." Second, the reconnaissance. I remembered Jordan mentioning a particularly bitter breakup before me. A quick, discreet search through old social media tags led me to Isabella Rossi. A few carefully worded DMs later, confirming I was Jordan's fiancé, and Isabella agreed to a call. Her story mirrored my discovery, only her betrayal involved a colleague. Then came the kicker. He used to brag about it, Isabella said, her voice tight with remembered anger. How he could juggle women, how none of us were smart enough to catch him. I actually recorded him once during a fight. He was drunk, arrogant, she hesitated. Do you want to hear it? An hour later, a shocking voice recording landed in my encrypted inbox. Jordan, slurring slightly, boasting about his conquests, calling his exes, including Isabella and implicitly me, naive fools easily placated by charm and expensive gifts. Another piece for the mosaic. Third, the use of evidence. Claire and I spent hours hunched over my laptop, weaving together the disparate threads, the explicit texts overlaid with photos of Jordan and Marissa looking chummy at our engagement party, the incriminating voice notes synced with seemingly innocent footage of them whispering together during family dinners, location data pinpointing them at boutique hotels juxtaposed with Marissa's Instagram posts claiming she was having a spa day or working late. And the piece de resistance. Footage from the discreet security cameras I'd installed in my own home months ago, initially for package deliveries, now repurposed. It captured Marissa letting herself in while I was away on a business trip, wandering into my bedroom, emerging later, wrapped in my favorite silk robe, the one Jordan had given me for our anniversary. The sheer audacity was breathtaking. Marcus took this raw data and, under my direction, edited it into a devastatingly effective 4-minute video montage set to deceptively sweet, melancholic instrumental music. Fourth, cultivating an unlikely ally. Ethan, Jordan's business partner. Ethan was the quiet one, the observer, the numbers guy who always seemed slightly uncomfortable with Jordan's flashy, glad-handing style. I'd always sensed a reserve in him, a watchfulness. Claire suggested reaching out. I arranged a casual coffee under the guise of discussing a seating chart dilemma near his table. I didn't need to reveal everything. I simply asked carefully, Ethan, has Jordan ever struck you as someone who bends the rules? Even with people he's close to. Ethan stirred his coffee for a long moment, his gaze distant. Jordan's ambitious, he said slowly. Sometimes he cuts corners. He tried to structure our last big development deal in a way that significantly undervalued my initial investment and contribution. Tried to essentially swindle me. He looked directly at me then, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. I caught it. Barely. Let's just say trust isn't exactly high between us right now, partnership notwithstanding. I nodded, filing the information away. Thank you, Ethan. That's helpful. As I was leaving, he added, almost as an afterthought, I'll be at the wedding, Sasha. Front row, if I recall the seating chart correctly. He met my eyes again. You might want me seated front and center. It wasn't an offer of help, exactly, but it felt like an implicit endorsement. A silent promise to bear witness. Maybe even run interference if needed. The wedding week unfolded in a surreal haze of forced smiles and meticulous, hidden preparations. I approved flower arrangements while coordinating audio tests with Marcus. I finalized guest transportation while confirming the projector and screen were perfectly positioned. I wrote loving vows while rehearsing my real lines in my head. The flash drive, containing the 4-minute H-bomb, felt heavy in my purse, a tangible weight of the truth I carried. Marissa was a constant presence, fluttering around me with performative helpfulness, oblivious to the storm gathering behind my serene smile. Jordan was peak Jordan, charming, slightly smug, basking in the pre-wedding glow, utterly convinced of his own invincibility. He mistook my calm focus for bridal bliss. Let him. The higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. The wedding day dawned bright and painfully beautiful. Villa San Pietro was a vision. Ivory linens, cascades of white roses and eucalyptus, the scent of orange blossoms mingling with expensive perfume. Guests mingled on the terrace, sipping champagne, their laughter echoing softly against the backdrop of the string quartet playing Vivaldi. It was everything I had dreamed of, curated down to the last detail. A perfect stage for a perfect lie. In the bridal suite, surrounded by my bridesmaids, minus one viper. My mother fussing over my veil, Claire gave me a quick, fierce hug. "Showtime, Monroe," she whispered, slipping a tiny, almost invisible earpiece into my ear. "Marcus is wired in. Projectors ready. Ethan's front and center. Just give the signal." I smoothed down the bodice of my gown. Custom Vera Wang. Elegant, timeless, a stark contrast to the chaos I was about to unleash. Looking in the mirror, I saw Sasha Monroe, the picture of bridal perfection. But beneath the silk and lace, my heart beat with the steady, cold rhythm of purpose. The emotional whirlwind of the past 2 weeks, the hurt, the betrayal, the icy rage, had coalesced into this single point of focused intent. Marissa, radiant in her blush pink bridesmaid dress, beamed at me. "You ready, bestie?" The word, bestie, landed like a shard of glass. "More than ready," I replied, my voice even. Walking down the aisle on my father's arm felt like moving through water. The faces turned towards me. Proud parents, smiling friends, curious colleagues, Jordan's smug family. And Jordan himself, standing at the altar, looking devastatingly handsome in his bespoke tuxedo, his eyes locked on me with possessive adoration. He looked like the luckiest man in the world. He had no idea. The ceremony proceeded, traditional and lavish. The vows, the rings, the exchange of loving glances. I played my part flawlessly. My voice didn't tremble as I recited the promises I now knew were meaningless to him. His voice was smooth, confident, dripping with false sincerity as he pledged his faithfulness. Then the officiant turned to me, his smile benign. "And do you, Sasha Elizabeth Monroe, take this man, Jordan Michael Hall, to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" This was it. The moment the narrative shifted. I took a breath, held Jordan's gaze for a beat. Then, slowly, deliberately, I turned to face the assembled guests. 200 pairs of eyes blinked back at me, confused. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Jordan's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. Before I answer that, I began, my voice clear and amplified by the microphone. "There's something I need to share. Something I discovered just 2 weeks ago." Silence descended. Thick, absolute silence. You could hear the distant buzz of insects in the vineyards. From the folds of my bouquet, where it was nestled amongst the white roses, I produced the small, innocuous flash drive. I held it up. I thought I knew the man standing beside me. I thought I knew my maid of honor, my best friend since college. I glanced briefly at Marissa. Her smile had frozen, her eyes wide with dawning horror. "It turns out," I continued, my voice gaining strength, "I didn't really know either of them. But I want you all to. I want you to see who Jordan really is. And what kind of friend Marissa has truly been to me." Gasps erupted. My parents looked shocked, hurt. Jordan's face was darkening, confusion turning to anger. "Sasha, what the hell are you doing?" he hissed, reaching for my arm. I pulled away smoothly. At the back, near the discreetly placed projector booth Marcus had set up, I saw Claire nod. That was the signal. So, to answer the officiant's question, I paused, letting the anticipation hang heavy in the air. I looked directly at Jordan, then let my gaze sweep over Marissa, whose face had crumpled into disbelief. "I don't." Another collective gasp. But I added, a small, cold smile finally playing on my lips. "I do hope you enjoy the show." On cue, the large screen positioned to the side of the altar flickered to life. The sweet, melancholic piano music began. And then the montage. Text messages, stark white on black, scrolled across the screen, their messages, intimate and damning. Photos of them, looking far too comfortable, flashed up. Then, the voice notes. Jordan's husky whisper, Marissa's answering giggle, echoing through the stunned silence of the vineyard. Way crazier than Sasha ever could. The words hung in the air like poison. People were frozen, mouths agape. Jordan's parents looked horrified. My friend stared, aghast. The video continued. Security footage. Marissa entering my apartment. The shot of her, lounging on my sofa, wrapped in my robe. It was undeniable, brutal, clinical. Somewhere around the 2-minute mark, Marissa let out a strangled sob and bolted. She stumbled down the altar steps, tripping over her blush-pink hem, and ran, heedless of the eyes following her, disappearing around the side of the villa. Jordan lunged towards the projector, his face a mask of fury. Stop this. Turn it off. But before he could reach it, Ethan, seated calmly in the front row, stood up. He moved surprisingly quickly, placing himself squarely between Jordan and the equipment. He didn't say much, just put a firm hand on Jordan's chest. Nah, man, Ethan said, his voice quiet but firm, easily audible in the tense silence. Let her finish. Jordan struggled for a moment, sputtering incoherently, but Ethan held his ground. Defeated, enraged, Jordan stood there, trapped, forced to watch the final minutes of his own self-destruction play out, including the audio clip of him drunkenly bragging to Isabella about cheating on all his girlfriends. The final image lingered, a simple text overlay. Congratulations to the happy couple. Then, black screen. The silence that followed was deafening. It stretched for what felt like an eternity. Then someone started to clap. Slowly, hesitantly at first, then gaining momentum. Soon, pockets of applause broke out. Some guests looked shocked, others disgusted, but a surprising number looked impressed. A few women near the back actually cheered. I calmly unhooked the microphone, letting it drop slightly. I turned, stepped carefully off the altar platform, ignoring Jordan completely as he stood there, vibrating with impotent rage, blocked by his own business partner. I walked towards my parents. My mother looked pale but resolute. My father, after a moment of shock, gave me a slow, approving nod. I hugged them both tightly. Then I turned back towards the aisle, the way I had come. Marcus, my videographer, was there, camera rolling, capturing not a tearful bride, but a composed woman reclaiming her narrative. I offered a small, dignified smile for the camera, for the watching guests. The wedding was over. My performance, however, was just beginning. The aftermath, the glow-up. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Guests scrambled, unsure of the etiquette for exiting a wedding that imploded at the altar. Jordan was left fuming, humiliated, fielding furious questions from his parents and stony silence from Ethan. Marissa had vanished entirely. Claire managed the operational shutdown with ruthless efficiency. Vendors were dealt with, transport arranged for bewildered guests, statements deflected. The next morning, Claire, ever the strategist, posted a carefully edited 30-second clip on TikTok and Instagram. It wasn't the full exposé, just the pivotal moment. Me turning from the altar, the flash drive held aloft, my calm declaration. I don't, but I do hope you enjoy the show. It went nuclear. Hashtag I don't show exploded. Hashtag wedding revenge. Hashtag classy clapback. Hashtag Sasha Monroe trended for days. The clip was dissected, debated, celebrated. News outlets picked it up. Morning shows discussed it. Think pieces were written. Initially, I braced for backlash, for accusations of cruelty or public shaming. And sure, there were some critics. But overwhelmingly, the response was positive, bordering on adulatory. Women, especially, saw not just vengeance but control, meticulous planning, and a refusal to be silently victimized. They saw a woman who took a shattering betrayal and turned it into a statement of power, all without losing her composure or resorting to hysterics. My PR firm's phone started ringing off the hook with potential clients wanting that level of narrative control. Marissa deleted all her social media accounts within 24 hours and reportedly left town, her reputation in shreds. Friends distanced themselves, her career ambitions DOA. Jordan's world crumbled more slowly, but just as surely. Screenshots of his texts, particularly those mocking female clients, leaked anonymously, perhaps by a disgruntled ex or even Ethan, damaged his business reputation significantly. His charm couldn't smooth over concrete proof of his duplicity and misogyny. Within a month, facing mounting pressure and alienated partners, he accepted a lowball buyout offer from Ethan, effectively losing the company he'd built. Rumor has it, he moved somewhere less conspicuous, trying to escape the shadow of the wedding video. As for me, offers poured in. TV interviews, book deals, reality show pitches. I turned down most of them. A brief, exclusive interview with a major podcast known for insightful conversations, yes. A carefully worded statement released through my firm, thanking people for their support while maintaining my dignity, absolutely. But I wasn't interested in becoming a tabloid fixture. The revenge wasn't just about exposing Jordan and Marissa, it was about reclaiming my own story, my own power. Instead of dwelling on the drama, I channeled the momentum. Leveraging my PR expertise and newfound public profile, I launched my own media campaign and series of workshops, taking your power back, without losing your cool. It focused on emotional intelligence in crisis, strategic communication, setting boundaries, and building resilience after betrayal, personally and professionally. It resonated deeply. The vineyard wedding became a symbol, not of a love story ending, but of a new chapter beginning. I didn't get the marriage I thought I wanted, but I got something far more valuable. Myself. Stronger, clearer, and utterly in control of my own narrative. The girl who once planned the perfect wedding was now busy building an imperfect, but authentic and powerful, future. And as I stood at dressing rooms full of women eager to find their own strength, I sometimes allowed myself a small, satisfied smile. I didn't say I do, but I did ensure everyone enjoyed the show. And in the end, the best performance was the one I gave myself. The role of a lifetime, starring Sasha Monroe, Unleashed.